Out of the backcountry drift tales of a devil beast.
You could hear this growl. I was like, okay, we got something real bad here.
They pulled the cameras down. The carcass is totally gone.
The wolverine has been branded with a hell of a reputation. But who really is this demon of the North?
Wait your turn now. They're not polite.
One man has come to know them as family.
Armload of wolverines.
Come on, let's go.
While others have spent years chasing a phantom.
I think she's that way.
It's absolutely impossible for any human being to keep up with a wolverine.
There she goes. Fast.
What wolverines can do is just beyond human.
Those who have set out on the wolverine's trail have met a creature completely at odds with its diabolical image.
They're sociable, they're bright, they figure stuff out. And suddenly they become a real animal for us.
Out of the shadows, a marvel of the wild is emerging with a fierce appetite for survival and for surprise. Deep in Montana's backcountry, one of the most elusive creatures on Earth has slipped through the snow and into a trap set by biologists with the U.S. Forest Service. It's a phantom with a ferocious reputation they've been tracking for almost a year.
Whoa.
Hey, yeah, buddy. I gotta believe it's M3.
It's a wolverine, a male they call M3.
A big, badass guy's dark-colored, chocolatey brown, fat, healthy-looking guy in the prime of his life, M3.
A wolverine will cross a topo map like we cross a street. At some point, he got it in his head that this is where he was going to go. And if that takes you over the top, then so be it.
He climbed Mount Cleveland. He climbed the highest peak in the park. He went to the top of it at the end of January. He gained 4,900 vertical feet in 90 minutes.
I mean, that's some pretty formidable terrain. The kind of stuff where even the goats are looking at him going, don't go, don't do it, man. You're gonna die.
The wolverine is perhaps the least known mammal in all of North America and one of the least studied large carnivores in the world. But for 5 years, a small team in Glacier National Park has been trying to learn everything they can about them, braving rock and ice, wind and snow, a no man's land of winter wilderness.
Not that many people want to go out at 20 below and into a 50-mile-an-hour wind and see what a wolverine's doing. But I can't think of anything that offers me more freedom and more adventure and more sense of discovery.
Doug Chadwick seeks out remarkable stories of the natural world and brings them to the public. He has 10 books and hundreds of articles to his name. From Hawaii to the Himalayas, he has traveled the globe. But it's when he returns home to Montana and hits the Wolverine Trail that Doug feels he's on sacred ground. Now, he's putting his passion to the page in a new book about them.
The reason I'm writing about wolverines is because so little is known about these doggone animals. They're sociable, they're bright, they figure stuff out. They're cool as anything. So I want to become a wolverine. I want to get down on all fours and see the world through its eyes, feel it through its feet, and smell it through its nose. First of all, I'm not all that far off the ground. I weigh about 30 pounds, I'm 3 feet long, but I've got paws almost the size of my hand here. And I've got 4 of them. And that's a lot of snowshoes for 30 pounds. I'm spreading my weight out real evenly on the snow. I can get places across deep snow that other animals are going to struggle mightily with. I've got crampons and pretty good sized claws, slightly curved on the edge of each of those 5 toes. So I got 20 of those. And that's why I can go up a ice fall or a sheer col on the side of the mountain and up over the divide, back over the divide in the middle of January. I've got a nose that can detect a carcass 20 feet under the snow buried in an avalanche. I've got a fur coat that drapes down my side, makes me virtually immune to the cold. When they lie on the snow, they don't melt the snow. That's how good their insulation is. The other thing it takes to build a wolverine is just a ton of attitude. You're not afraid of very much. You don't back down from very much. What is required to go look a grizzly bear in its face, which is like that, and say, yeah, I think I can take you. You look like a wuss.
Wolverines inhabit a universe that is rugged, remote, and fiercely raw. Winter is what works for them. Yet they're tied to it in ways we don't fully understand. They're one of the largest members of the weasel family, descendants of an Ice Age weasel that once roamed the frozen continent. Today, wolverines are scattered across the far north, from Alaska and Canada to Scandinavia and Siberia. In the lower 48, their stronghold is a 1 million-acre wilderness where winter is crystallized in its very name. Glacier National Park. For up to 9 months of the year, winds riding in from the west lash the peaks at 80 miles per hour and whip up walls of snow 7 stories high. Most roads here stay closed until June. In 2008, crews were blasting snow off Logan Pass for the 4th of July. That was a good year for wolverines. There's no better place to gain a foothold into their secretive world.
I think she's that way.
Jeff Copeland is one of the world's leading experts and at the helm of the Glacier Wolverine Project.
Glacier National Park probably has the highest density of wolverines that we know of in the contiguous United States. We estimate that there's about 40 to 45 wolverines compared to 200 to 300 grizzly bears. We always kind of make fun of grizzly bears because they sleep all winter. They're in a nice warm hole somewhere, sleeping the winter off. But the wolverine is the guy they're up there, they're up into this, in this country. They're all about snow.
A little wolverine seems to rub off on those who study them. They don't discourage easily. Biologist Rick Yates heads the field team for the glacier study. Incredibly, across an area larger than Rhode Island, the team was able to capture more than half of the park's estimated population, fitting 27 wolverines with transmitters and GPS collars. Pinpointing their locations every 5 minutes allowed the team an unprecedented real-time view of wolverines on the landscape. Breaking trail for thousands of miles, Rick and volunteers such as Buck Hassan follow the GPS waypoints, searching for evidence of recent activity. They're on dangerous ground. Wolverine country is also avalanche country.
Wolverines don't hibernate, and so they're out all winter long, and they're feeding on animals that are killed by avalanches and falls. So they're picking up the pieces of other animals that didn't make it through the winter.
What do you think, Rick?
Well, there's more left of this goat than a lot of them. These are the remains of a mountain goat that a wolverine had consumed. And this is all that's left. It's interesting, they didn't eat the teeth. I was actually surprised to find this part of the upper mandible and this part of the pelvic bone. They just must not have been hungry that day.
Its most common name is the glutton. Gulo gulo, which means gluttonous glutton. You just can't get any more gluttony than that. They'll take on a mountain goat, a bighorn sheep. They'll probably get in tussles with wolves and cougars over carcasses. They've been seen bringing down full-grown moose. That's a pretty impressive operation. That's like a house cat bringing down a deer. We've autopsied a carcass that, when you feel the stomach, it is like a big bag of gravel, and it's all bones. Even old, beat-up-looking bones left on the ground still have oils and fats in them. And a wolverine has the jaws to crunch those up. How can it survive when winter comes as early as October and doesn't leave until June? And I think sometimes it's a heap of bones, it's a rubble of bones that gets them through.
After 5 years of fieldwork, aside from the wolverines they've caught in traps, the Glacier team has gotten only a glimpse or two of the animals themselves. But the rest of us may have seen one from the comfort of our couch.
Johnny?
Now, I don't think, of all the time we've been doing this show, that we've had this animal on the show, and I don't know how many people in the audience know what this animal is.
I'm trying to do bigger and better things on the program after all these 27 years I've done this with you, Johnny. It's the wolverine. And
A wolverine?
it's the only tame wolverine that I know of in the world, and Steve Crucial from
How you
has
doing?
done this. But seeing one is rare enough, but seeing two,
Wolverine.
pretty unusual, yeah.
Steve Crushel has spent 25 years with wolverines.
I was on a quest since I was a kid to learn more about this mysterious animal. And the more I learned, the more questions I had.
Steve was a budding wildlife filmmaker in the 1980s when he first came to Alaska from Minnesota. Over the years, he's worked on more than 100 films, from the feature, Never Cry Wolf, to the documentary series, Planet Earth. From his home just outside of Haines, Steve has grown a 60-acre wildlife refuge where he cares for injured and orphaned animals and teaches visitors about Alaska's native species. But for Steve, right from the start, it was all about wolverines. He's one of the few people in the world to raise them in captivity. Yet it's been 16 years since he's had kids. Getting wolverines to breed is notoriously difficult. It's just another part of their mystique.
A wolverine birth in captivity is just a few notches below a panda birth or a polar bear. And so it's a big thing, it's a big deal.
This year, Steve has high hopes. On his compound, he has 2 males named Skippy and Spark, a female named Star that he raised from birth, and Jenny, another female on loan from the Alaska Zoo. As Steve has been able to raise 3 litters, the zoo is hoping his facility may offer Jenny a better environment for courtship. And she did mate, but that's still no guarantee that she'll actually have kits. If she is pregnant, she'd be due to give birth any day now. Steve keeps constant vigil.
There's something going on in there. This is 10 days now. It's taking a toll on me. I've been nervous and stressed out. It's torturous. I don't know. There's no remote camera in this den. I have no clue as to what's really going on. So I'm going to go out and try to feed and see if I can get more clues.
At last, 2 of the rarest babies in the world. But they aren't Jenny's. His old female, Star, is the mother. Maybe it was the introduction of Jenny that spurred Star, after all these years, to show her dominance and give birth. But we can only speculate. The delivery was Star's final act. She died just moments after. And now Steve has 2 kids without a mother.
I'll start with this one.
He and his son, Garrett, will have to step up and become Wolverine parents.
The demanding Wolverine kits.
Steve will have to draw on all his years of experience to raise these 2. In the back of his mind is a daunting statistic. Out of the 11 Wolverines born in American zoos last year, only 1 has survived.
Wouldn't it be cool if we saw a Wolverine just trucking right across there right now?
Biologist Audrey McGowan knows as much about Wolverines as anyone alive. For 30 years, she's been working with the Department of Fish and Game, crisscrossing Alaska, to study how Wolverines survive in this vast frontier. Her work began in 1978, when proposals for oil development on the North Slope sent Audrey up to the tundra as a young graduate student. Part of her job was to capture and tag Wolverines to assess how development would affect them. She was hooked.
I get asked the question, why am I excited or passionate about Wolverines? Probably I'll never be able to answer that satisfactorily until someone can actually be near a Wolverine. There is something about Wolverines that's different from any other animals. And then on top of that, there's the places they live. The northern wilderness areas that I love are what Wolverines love. And it could be a circular thing. I may love those areas because Wolverines live there. I don't know. All I know is there's something about the essence of Wolverines that makes things, for me, wild and special.
Wolverines seek out the toughest terrain, and as they've always been scarce, it's no wonder they're among the least studied animals on the planet. They once ranged as far south as New Mexico. Today, in the lower 48, they've retreated to the Rockies, the wildest country left. But their North American territory still extends up into the most remote reaches of Canada and Alaska.
We got to go up into Scenery Valley and track that female.
This year, with her husband Pat Valkenburg, Audrey is far from the tundra, searching for Wolverines in the coastal wilderness of Alaska's southeast. They're trapped for fur here, but until now, there's been no research in this area to help the state manage them. So far, they've radio collared 5, and today they're scouting for one that may have kits across a study area of some 3,600 square miles.
I've only seen wolverines probably 4 times in the 30-some years I've lived in Alaska. Trying to get a visual on a wolverine is a matter of luck, of just the day and the time you pick to do it. He happens or she happens to be up above the tree line.
They pick up a signal from one of the collars.
There she goes. Fast.
Yeah, okay, from the signal, it sounded like she's in the same place where she has the kits now, which is off my left wing. There's probably a pretty good chance she's deep down and under the snow.
The radio collars detail the movements of just a few individuals. Audrey has another plan, one that brings wolverines to her. With her field assistant, Dave Bennett, Audrey is installing a system of 39 remote cameras in this patch of the Tongass National Forest. She's using new technology to capture and identify her subjects without touching them at all.
We're looking for 2 trees that are about 10 feet apart. How about that big one down there? And then this...
Audrey's discovered that each wolverine has a chest pattern as unique as fingerprints. But making a positive ID will take precision in her setup.
The slow part of the job is getting these cameras just right.
This is the 2nd year of her study. In the 1st year alone, she identified 21 wolverines that use this area. With stills and video, she's assembling a portrait of the wolverines that live here. For her, a picture is personal.
This guy, he's my troublemaker. This is Zigzag, and I tried all winter to catch this wolverine and never did. Hoot, he's a little bit shy, but now he'll let his picture be taken. Sarge, he didn't hesitate at all, moving right in with the camera flashing and everything and start trying to get the bait, and he works really hard on getting the bait. He's the one that'll jump up there and hang on to a dry old bone and swing on this bone and work on it trying to get it down. He's a bold, not very cautious wolverine.
Left to work quietly on their own, the cameras provide Audrey with the basics, the who, what, when, and where of a wolverine population study, documenting who emerges when humans leave. And not just in Alaska. Down in the lower 48, they're seeing ghosts. Michigan is called the Wolverine State, but no one had seen one in the wild here for 200 years. Then, after a reported sighting in 2004 in the woods near his home, school teacher Jeff Ford decided to set up a video camera with night vision. And out of the darkness, a phantom comes to life. High in the Sierra Nevada, there's breaking news.
Scientists say this one prized picture proves that at least one wolverine is now living in the Sierra. It is the Sierra's first documented wolverine since 1922.
And tonight it is sending shockwaves through the science world.
When you saw it, what was the first reaction into your mind?
The stereotypical, that's impossible, that entire shock. There's no way that I could possibly have documented a wolverine in Tahoe National Forest.
What do these sightings mean? Have wolverines been hiding in the backcountry all this time, discovered at last by new technology? Or are they lone travelers moving back to reclaim their old haunts? Up in Glacier National Park, Rick Yates and Buck Hassan are still working on their own piece of the wolverine puzzle.
Hey, Rick. There we go. There we go.
So this looks like a 1-2-1.
There's a, yeah, 1-2-1. There we go. Beautiful.
There's another set.
Oh, yeah. You see a neck? This is a front, front, rear, rear. Right there. See?
And then we lose it.
Here's a front, front, rear, rear. And it's what I call the Wolverine lope. He's moving. He's going somewhere here. His rear feet are ahead of his front feet. And this is how this wonderful animal covers 20 miles in a day. He just is, he's moving right now. Yeah, I love it.
That same critter could be on the other side of the park now.
Pushing off both rear legs together, then front legs together, the Wolverine's signature lope helps them attain more speed with less apparent effort. They devour the landscape at a near constant 4 miles per hour, no matter what the terrain, flatland or mountain. The glacier study ran out of funds in 2007, but Rick and his crew of volunteers carry on anyway, completely on their own. He and Buck scour the air and ridgeline for traces of anyone they might recognize. All is quiet. One particular couple, a male, M1, and a female, F4, calls this place home. The team got to know them more as phantoms than flesh during the study. Yet through the years and over the airwaves, they made a connection.
Pretty good size.
Those are Wolverine tracks, yeah.
Now look at this.
That one has 5 toes.
Yeah, that little digit here shows up. Look at that.
Mm-hmm. Every track I see, I wonder, is this M1? Is this F4's track? She was the main female in this area. She was a good mom, had kits 3 out of the 5 years.
While February storms raged, F4 cared for her newborns in a cozy fortress 10 feet beneath the surface. To keep their babies insulated and protected, females always choose den sites that hold deep snow well into May. With snow cover changing radically from year to year, just how they find these spots and know the snow will last is anyone's guess. Maybe it's maternal instinct, but whatever it is, it's something fundamental to Wolverines.
I know it'd be nice to know if it was F4. We spent 5 years following her around, and you know, her transmitter quit, what, 2 years ago, I guess? She still has her ear tag, and of course we have a DNA print from her, but it'd be nice to know if she's still around. I mean, you get to know these guys, and then all of a sudden you don't know what they're doing anymore, or if they're alive or having kits, and you wish you could just kind of track them for long periods of time.
Doug Chadwick and Dave Murray have been in the backcountry for days, and sign of their quarry is scarce. But the team presses on, driven by Wolverine-like tenacity.
Like most of the guys on the project, what I really want to do is just be a Wolverine. I want to go where I want to go, do what I want to do, bite who I want to bite, and climb what I want to climb.
This work takes a rare breed of frontiersmen, those with 19th century backcountry skills and a dash of 21st century science. They hunt for electronic signals and set traps for DNA.
That's Wolverine.
Yeah, I really like this one.
So we came in February and put a quarter of a deer this high. And the only one that we hope is able to climb up to the top is a Wolverine. So we've got gun brushes, which are nice grabby wires. Put them all around so whoever climbs up is bound to leave a little bit of fur for us. This is a treasure trove of Wolverine DNA. We're hoping. What does that mean? It means you can not only tell who the mother and father are, but you can start to see how many Wolverines you can fit into one area. And what we're finding from tracks and radio sign is you can't fit very many Wolverines even in a place as huge as this because they have enormous territories.
A wolverine patrols about 500 square miles, a home turf larger than an average grizzly's. Not bad for an animal with 10-inch legs. And all that vast range belongs to just one male and 2 or 3 females. How on earth do they find each other across such a distance? They navigate by memory and marking, staking an invisible signpost with every stride. But the social side of wolverines came as a complete surprise.
It was thought that wolverines are gnarly, surly. The only time they get together is to breed. But what we're finding is they're able to stay in their parents' territory their first year and learn from them where the good spots are. Learn how to be a wolverine from dad, how to be a badass wolverine. But the point is that they're much more sociable and much more family-oriented than anyone would have guessed.
Males usually take several mates, and in an unusual family dynamic, they've been known to travel from female to female, helping to raise each of their kids. The Glacier team tracked M1 into F4's den and found him traveling with their young and those of his second family on 17 different occasions. When his son, M3, had kits of his own, he in turn traveled with them, passing along the lessons he'd learned. Fatherhood, it seems, is in their nature. Growing up wolverine may all depend on the incredible, indisputable role of the dad.
Oh my goodness. This one here is named Banff, and this one's Jasper. Banff and Jasper. Wait your turn now. They're not polite. No, they're getting full now. I'm gonna clean them up a little bit here, because that's very important. So I'm just cleaning them off here like Mommy would do. She'd lick around their faces, make sure there's no mess. This is something we do. This cleaning and feeding is still going on about every 4 hours, around the clock. So we're not getting a lot of sleep. I'm not getting a lot of sleep. The wolverines are getting a lot of sleep. In this tub, I change and I put fresh moss from the forest in there almost every day, and also a little bit of tree branches and such, like this hemlock. These are psychological security blankets for the wolverine. This kind of bedding is very important. Give them a little bit of privacy. For 4 hours now, I can do something else and relax.
Armload of wolverines.
They have to be able to run free. They have to be able to experience life like they would in the wild.
So we take them to these different kinds of habitat that they would normally be seeing with their mother, whether it's the river or up in the forest. Trying to film these wolverines out here in this mosquito-infested forest is almost impossible, but I think we'll get a few shots here and there. Uh-oh, into my power cord. Don't you chew that in half. No, no. Wolverines are so inquisitive, they get into everything. I mean, I have lost power cords. They just chew them in half. I mean, in just a few seconds, it's broken. What are you gonna do? But what would be the worst, and I shouldn't even bring it up, but if they open up a film can after we've already shot. But so far, so good that way.
You sometimes will see, you know, they're crouching down, they're showing their teeth, and that's what they do to each other, and that's what they do to their enemies. All of the play has a purpose, really. And to be part of that, of course, is quite insightful because they're sharpening their skills for hunting, stalking their prey, or defensive behavior, you know, if they were stalked themselves. And you see all that. It's all wrapped up into one session of play.
Oh, they like this.
They're orphans, so I have a profound responsibility to give them the best life possible. I don't want them to ever be bored. Otherwise, I'd feel like I've failed as a guardian.
It's been 3 months since Audrey McGowan has checked the cameras here in the high country.
It's like gold panning. You go back to these cameras and you can't wait to look at them, and it's exciting.
But while winter stepped out, summer slipped in and rearranged the furniture.
It is all changed. So what I'm looking for is just a 2x4 sticking out of a tree. None of this brush was visible. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go back and get my GPS. You can't tell where you were in the winter here. I'm gonna make a circle around that way and go back over. We're here, right there. Oh, bear. They pulled the cameras down. They're not broken or chewed up, so you see, the carcass is totally gone. Ordinarily, anyone putting out a remote camera would be really excited to have black bears on their camera. With me, I'm disappointed. Black bears, that means there's not going to be any bait left by the time they're finished. Now, I was just about ready to give up hope when all of a sudden, there on the screen was a wolverine. It just lay right down there and started chewing on this old dry bone. And we're running near the end of the photographs, and all of a sudden there's a photograph with 2 wolverines in it. So that was pretty exciting.
In the long tradition of panning for gold in Alaska, 2 wolverines may not seem like much of a strike, but they're a real find to Audrey, and enough to keep her going. As summer makes a fleeting visit to the peaks of Glacier, Rick Yates climbs up to where it's still cold enough for wolverines. After months of subsisting on the bones of winter kills, this supreme scavenger gets to practice a little hunting. Rick is on the hunt himself. He may not be battling wind and snow, but it's actually harder to find wolverines at this time of year. Without tracks to follow, Rick scouts the old stomping grounds of M1 and F4 for some sign of them.
This is Grinnell Glacier. It's one of the areas where F4 spent a lot of time in the summers. Hopefully she still does if she's still alive. Grinnell Glacier has retreated significantly in the last 20, 30 years As this glacier melts and eventually disappears, it'll change the ecosystem of this area by not holding as much snow. It may not be as cool of a place for a wolverine to be in the summertime.
And Grinnell isn't the only one receding. Every one of the park's remaining glaciers are melting away at a rapid clip. In 20 years, they could all be gone, and the wolverines could be left high and dry.
There's a direct relationship with wolverines and deep snow that persists into May and June. As global warming accelerates, it may affect where and if wolverines den.
For all its toughness, at its core, the wolverine is a vulnerable creature. A change in weather may be all it takes for this rare species to come undone. F4's transmitter has gone off-air, so finding her now means going low-tech through the high country. If she's around and has kits this year, a temporary den called a rendezvous site may be one place she's been spending her time.
This is one of F4's rendezvous sites from last year. I collected scats. Here, actually, I had my son crawl in there, and he's a lot skinnier than I am. Oh yeah, here's a scat right here.
The DNA could tell him if she was here, but it won't pinpoint when. The ground offers up other clues.
You can see some of the teeth marks. Could be a sheep, could be a goat. I'm hoping it's still F4, you know. It looks like they've been here a while. After last December, we don't have any data on her.
Signals are fading on all the wolverines here. Rick runs through the channels one last time, sweeping the air as if to conjure them. Nothing.
I always worry about these guys because some of them fall, some of them are killed in avalanches. It's a tough place to make a living out here.
Rick heads home without knowing the fate of his old friends, but our camera stays behind. Cinematographer Joe Pontecorvo lingers to capture the late afternoon light. Instead, he captures something completely unexpected. It's F4. Rick later confirmed her identity. He missed her by 20 minutes.
my goodness, have you grown?
Fall brings big changes to the Crushel household, but the pace hasn't slowed. It's impossible to stay one step ahead of a wolverine, even in captivity.
Always a dangerous thing to bring a wolverine into a cabin. Oh, my gloves. So I'm missing one glove, and now I've got an idea of where it might have went. I might... Uh-oh. You weigh 38.5 pounds now, Jasper. Come on, oh boy. My goodness, your teeth are getting big. Yeah, it's just been a 3-ring circus every day, working with these wolverines, because they've got so much energy, you know, and they got to have something to do all the time. Some people might think that this is a bit wacky, but you know, how else are people going to understand this elusive animal?
The biggest weasel of them all. So what is your first impression of a wolverine?
Fierce.
Fierce.
Yeah, that's what fierce.
Vicious. Golly, geez, I don't know if I can bring them out after hearing all those adjectives. What about you? They're what?
They're cute.
They're cute. Ah, that's, you know, I'm with you on that. That's how I feel about them.
The only reason I have these wolverines is for ambassadorship, to educate, to enlighten.
This is Banff today. Look at that claw. Oh, I would say maybe that claw is a 1/4 inch long. So one wolverine needs a lot of territory. They find it here in Alaska.
Before, they were kind of, you know, a couple notches below Bigfoot, and now we can have a little bit more of a clear picture of what this creature is all about.
At 8 months old, Jasper is testing the waters of adulthood and testing his boundaries with Dad.
It's give and take all the time. They seem playful, they seem like they're benign, that they won't hurt me and all, but they could. They're still a wild animal, and I still have to work within their rules.
Jasper and Banff are nearly full grown, and Steve can only manage them one at a time now. Yet both will have his unyielding attention for the rest of their lives.
I've got almost 60 acres here, and of course, the border is just endless wilderness. So what they have now is what they'll always have here, I hope.
Another study season is wrapping up for Audrey, and it's been a huge success. In 2 years, 27 wolverines have found their way to her cameras and finally onto the map here in southeast Alaska.
I plan on studying wolverines until the day I go and meet the great wolverine in the sky, I guess. At least as far as I can tell, my passion hasn't diminished in the least.
There have been new developments in the lower 48. A male wolverine collared by researchers with the Wildlife Conservation Society was tracked 500 miles from Wyoming into Colorado, marking the first known wolverine in that state since 1919.
Gulo, gulo.
In Michigan, 5 years after the first sighting, this nimble acrobat seems to have settled in and is doing fine. And in California, the male that made headlines in 2008 has been captured again in the Tahoe National Forest, this time on video. Despite these encouraging signs, there may only be a few hundred wolverines in the entire lower 48. No one knows for sure. What we do know is that no picture of the northern wilderness is complete without them. Each Much insight we've gleaned has been wrung from the hard-won efforts of a small band of explorers who have battled the years, the weather, and the punishing terrain, and have made the wolverine their quest. These few seek more than an extraordinary animal. The wolverine has become their Everest, everything they measure themselves against. In his book, The Wolverine Way, Doug Chadwick puts it like this.
If wolverines have a strategy, it is go hard and high and steep and never back down, not even from a grizzly and least of all from a mountain. Climb everything, trees, cliffs, avalanche chutes, summits. Eat everybody, alive, dead, long dead. It's still warm heart or frozen bones. I will never really know what it's like to be one of these hunter-scavengers. But I've learned a little more about courage and a lot more about what wild means just from being on the wolverine's trail.
To learn more about what you've seen on this nature program, visit pbs.org.